All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Personal Mastery Training, the Alliance. And we are back somewhat full force. And we have a great conversation, an appropriate and timely conversation to have. If you're just joining us, listening to this first time, we are on here nurturing the soul. We call it food for the soul. We're serving up some soul food. And in the times that we're living in now, man, we need a lot of soul food. We need something to soothe the soul. We are brimming with tumultuous uh, experiences that can really push you off, most people, push you off your game. And there's so much division, and there is so much division is the word I can come up with, really and truly. And as the wisdom says, divide and conquer. If we're taking one side or the next, there's no way we can listen to each other. There's no way we can evolve and move forward and so on. So we want to talk about today this conversation of navigating negative news in order to achieve your own personal mastery. Master over your mind, master over your body, master over your soul. And how do you do that in today's world? I mean, it is heavy. It is heavy if you let it seep, and it's hard to not seep into your consciousness because if you have a cell phone, unless you live in a cabin somewhere in the woods, hidden, you're gonna get it's ubiquitous. It's all over. So how do you navigate it? And uh, since I would say the last, I mean, negative news has always been there. We know that CNN, constant negative news. They got a 24-hour station now, and people are consuming, and they know one thing we have to realize about the news is that it's a business. It's a business. It's not there to inform you completely. It's a business. That means they have to make profit. They have investors. They have to, yeah, sell something. And if you study psychology, you don't even have to study psychology. If you just look at how humans are, we love drama. It's a survival mechanism. If we stare at the accident and look and see what's going on and find out, and we are driven, our minds are driven by what what draws our attention. And so they know that. So the classic statement in news is if it bleeds, it leads. The more salacious it is, the more polarizing it is. That's great. That's fantastic traction. That's fantastic for business. More eyes. You know what more eyes means? More attention. It means more money. If I'm selling good news, no one's watching that. People don't really, oh, great, it's going to be sunny out. Amazing. Move on. But if there's a storm coming, Katrina, your eyes are peeled to this thing. And so what you'll notice is the biggest thing that sell is things that polarize us most. That feeds into the psychology. If it's a mild conversation, mild topic, yeah, meh, they don't make profit. But this is why, again, you look at the back in the day, Enquirer. Enquirer was a staple in everybody's life. You go to the hairdresser, you go to wherever it's sitting on the table, it's Enquirer. It's been a long-standing staple of the first inception of negative news. And then now you have all kinds of other platforms. Now they've gone TV and digital and so how do you navigate all this stuff? And so I've got a lot of conversation, right? But I'm gonna let the fellas come in here because over the last, say, 5, 6 years, I've disassociated myself from a lot of people who seem to think they call me stupid in no in no uncertain terms and very subtly that I am part of the problem of ignorance if I don't pay attention to this stuff. How are you not doing? I've had friends who well, quote unquote friends who have done copious amounts of research, 300 hours of research on. Now I'm thinking in my head, here's what I'm thinking. You're doing research. I'm in a small town in Canada, and so are you. You're not far from me. Do I really think I'm going to Google something and get the dark secrets that are out there, the powers that be? Let's just slip out into my little computer that somehow I've got the only, because these people who tell you this, they have the secret. It's a secret to them. They cracked it. They cracked the code, and they found the Illuminatis and the whatever else they found. They're the only ones, and they have the secret. So they got to tell everybody the secret. So there's a certain amount of, again, they look at me and they say, you're crazy. How are you not in on the secret? How are you not studying? So I asked a friend, quote unquote, an associate, what are you doing with this information now that you found out? Are we just going to share it back and forth and send text and WhatsApp and secret messages to each other? Are we going to make a difference? I says, here's where you include me. When you're taking an action to make change and you are actually doing something about this copious amount, 300 hours or more of research out of your life, then if you got solid plans, let me know. And if it makes sense to me, I'm in. But if we're just gonna do this to talk with people about it and spread the same news with each other and make our lives toxic and go on social media and agree, disagree, and argue, I'm not about that. That's junky. That's junky. So, anyways, that's the problem. So now we're gonna talk about. I'll let my fellas come in on the top problem, and then we're gonna talk about the solution. How do we navigate this so you can actually have some sanity in your life? And actually look at your neighbor as if they're still your neighbor and not your enemy. So with that, I pass the mic.
Very important topic that we're covering today. And I think, as you were speaking earlier, Alvin, a wisdom came to mind from Winston Churchill. And he said, however beautiful the strategy, you should occasionally look at the results. Right? So all this consumption of negativity, if it's something that you got in the habit of doing, maybe even didn't realize it. And because that's the thing about habits is sometimes you don't realize you have the habit until the habit has you. Okay. So if you take an honest look and say, you know what, I have been consuming, a lot of, negative content. Take a step back and look at the results. What has it done for you personally? How has it helped you professionally? What has it done for your life? And I think the honest answer is it's added stress, it's added division, and it's got me off my game, right? And so our life and our quality of life is based on us focusing on, it's based on what we focus on. That determines our quality of life. And so if I'm focused on friends, if I'm focused on family, if I'm focused on care and love and peace and respect, but if I'm focused on friends, if I'm focused on family, if I'm focused on love and care and respect and appreciation, my life's going to reflect that focus. However, if I'm focused on fear and anger and discord and what he said and what she said, my life is going to reflect that attitude and energy as well. So it's so important to understand that regardless of what the weather is doing outside, we bring our own weather with us from the inside. Wherever we go, we bring our own weather. So, what weather are you bringing to the table? What weather are you bringing to your family? What weather are you bringing to your friends? What weather are you bringing to the workplace? Is it positivity? Is it growth mindset? Or is it negativity and division? Honest question that we all must ask ourselves. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
When it comes to navigating this heavy environment, guys, I want to start off with a fable that I'm pretty sure everyone knows, and if you don't know, well, this will be the first time you hear it. Okay, uh, for anyone listening, have you heard of the turtle and the hare, or the rabbit? Let's say, as we say. Okay, let's think about it this way. Charlie just talked about bringing your own weather, right? I want to remind everyone of something. The turtle always wins in the end. It's not the hare. Okay. Whenever we listen to these news, it's so easy to react very quickly and to take this incomplete information and make an idea of what reality is to us. But then what happens at some point, we get overwhelmed. At some point, it's too much. We stop and then we go into this chaotic, thing of, okay, I get the news, I react. I get the news, I react. You never win this way. On the other hand, the turtle has a plan. The turtle is very strategic. The turtle is focused on winning and on gaining the truth. And why I'm talking about this is that I truly believe it applies to any areas of our life. Just to remember that the turtle always win. Might not seem like it, but that's the result. Okay, that's the result. Now, in anything else, okay, if we translate it, whether it's with family, in society, in organizations, there, I don't have all the answers, but I've been thinking about this really, really hard for a while. And I always see two things lacking or two things failing when everything crumbles down. First is leadership, second is communication. Okay, leadership, communication. So, by improving our own leadership, okay, naturally, I presume you start to attract better leadership around you too. You start to create better leadership. And from there, I believe you can set the stage. Okay. I believe you can set the stage from how you show up in life. Okay. And that also allows to get closer to the truth, because we all know there are different layers and different levels of truth too. It depends on how you view the world and how you approach the world yourself. Number two is communication, because that's another thing. How much are we truly listening? Okay, are we listening on the surface level, or are we trying to go a little bit deeper? Are we trying to truly connect with people? Are we communicating, you know, all these little gaps that are missing within these big messages? I find that if we start with us in improving our leadership, improving our communication, and we translate that to everything else, and we look for that outwardly too, um, it makes it a little bit easier. Is it perfect? No. But again, if we approach it like the turtle does, ultimately good things happen. Okay, good things happen. So that would be my message on how I approach this. Don't just react to anything you hear. Like Alvin said, if it bleeds, it leads. And the truth is that we might not get the whole information, but if we improve our leadership on how we show up every single day, on how we think and how we act, and from there we learn to communicate better, better things happen. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
All right, excellent, excellent. Now, yeah, Dr. Charlie had a couple of great points here for sure, where he said the statement where the habit has you. At first, we start, um, listening to be informed, but you go to different outlets, and the information that you're being informed about is biased by certain outlets, whether it be this or that, or Fox, CNN, and BBC, and there's all kinds. Some people, oh well, no, I read the this newspaper because it's as long as a human being is touching that newspaper, and getting you that information within the thing happens, the event happens, and now you have the information within 12 hours. It's out on the newsstand. What research are they doing? What are they doing? Are they go? Now, here's an experience I want everybody to think about. That's applicable, I believe. Here I am out. So I'm in Canada recording, and I live in Canada. When anything goes on in the USA, you know what I do? I call somebody in the USA. Dr. Charles will tell you. I'll call him and say, "Hey, tell me about what's going on down there. Boots on the ground. Tell me." And he'll either confirm or deny that he's even experiencing any of this. Because I don't like to read what I'm reading up here. So many people, when they come to a country, they think the country's like this way because they've been hearing this news about this country or the people in it or whatever it is. Yeah, because they're hearing a biased version of that person's opinion. So if no, I'm more educated. I like to read. In Canada, they have a bunch of newspapers, and it goes from different levels of trash to somewhat, legit. And some people are snooty about this one particular. Oh no, I only read this, as if it's any better. As if it's any better. That's a journalist who wrote that. And that journalist is sitting on his couch or her couch somewhere in the world, and they're getting the same. Yeah, they're not tied into any real. They just got that information within 2 hours ago, and they wrote about it. Where are they gonna go? Did they fly down there and actually get boots on it? I'm watching a movie on Netflix about Katrina, the hurricane that happened in 20 years ago, and what went out to the media and what was actually happening are two totally different things. So we have to start to get a bit more logical and critical thinking. But in today's world, so here's the deal with today's world. Uber, anything at your fingertips, Amazon. I ordered a product yesterday and it arrived the same day. So what that means is we've gotten used to getting our information right now. We want it now, we want it now. There's no need for critical thinking or anything else. So we're getting our information, we're being informed by superficial sound bites, salacious stuff, because again, that journalist also needs their job. So they also have to make something juicy because they need to keep their job. So that's how we're getting information today. We're getting it real quick, real dirty, not cleaned up, and then they'll fix it later. But as long as it grabs your attention. Right? If you look at news, the best stuff that sells is race. Race sells really nicely. Then religion, and then politics, and those things are fantastic. If I was if I was looking to turn a profit, I would hit any of those bells and whistles, man. That's money. Look at that as money. So again, if it bleeds, it leads. Uh, so Ray, yeah, great, Ray Turtle in the hair, yeah. We all want to be today. It's all about the hair. No one wants to take their time to find anything out, and it's just coming at you. I love it again when CNN, when people pay attention to those outlets or whatever. You take the news, it doesn't matter, CNN or whatever. I'm not biased to any of them. But one thing happens in somebody's life, an event, and it's salacious, it's really juicy. And now I spend the next 24, 48, even a week on the same information. Let's get the news from Jane. She lives across the street. Jane, what do you think? Jane's now giving me her opinion. Oh, yes, I've always never trusted that family and didn't. Oh, you did again. Who cares, Jane? I don't care. But people want to hear that, right? So that's the juicy stuff. They want to hear it. And then you go to work and they talk about it at work. And, here are these people talking about what Jane said. And really? So again, everyone's here today. They want to get here triggered. Everything's just quick. Um, and people don't do research, and neutral research. If we did, I guess it would mess up the mechanism of how everything works. We couldn't sell war. We couldn't sell hate, division if people did all these things. So I know during wartime, my son went to Vietnam, and I think he said there was a hill of bones in there. I think it's in Vietnam, one of those countries where war was. And he said there's a hill of bones, and that hill of bones was representing, I guess they went in and they gathered up everybody who was educated, and they thought, oh, they're going to use us for something. No, they killed them all. They kill the educated people. Why? You don't want that. What you want are followers, people who will listen, people who will, react. Yeah, do you get rid of the smart ones, the logical thinkers? Get rid of them. They're troublemakers. So again, what are we doing, right? So with that, I'll pass the mic so some of my brothers can get some of this.
Hey
Yeah. So
Charlie, if I just may add one quick thing right before you go, because I have a bachelor's in journalism, guys. I remember, being in journalist school, and one thing that hit me, I remember my senior year, my teacher was telling us that, okay, when everything fails, here's what you need to remember. Okay, you're a journalist first, human being second. Okay, so just think about that.
Hmm.
Okay. So I was in class listening to this. I'm like, what? Because it was an ethics class, right? So if you know someone's gotta die, is gonna die, okay, and you have that information, but you have a story to tell, remember you're a journalist first. Your job is to tell the story first. So we were just discussing ethics, and that hit me in a different way, because like, okay, I don't think I can follow these I don't think I can follow these rules. I don't think I can be that journalist. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. I got to jump in there. And yeah, that's yeah. See that alone, we can end right there. End right there, because that's information the teacher is sharing with you. That's that's a staple foundation of journalism. See, that's what she's sharing with you. So if you outing me and ruining my life by sharing my information, that's utmost, because if you're human and you know it'll hurt me, you won't report that. But if you're a journalist, you'll report it. Nice. Go ahead. Jolly, Dr. Jolly.
yeah. So I have a story that really meshes well with the topic we have. So you can, and Alvin, after I'm done telling this story, you can confirm. Okay. So right after the pandemic, there was a travel advisory coming into the U.S. for people of African descent, right? That it was dangerous to go to the U.S. and it was not advised. And there's a lot of stories going around, and this after the George Floyd incident and all these things of, police brutality, specifically against Black people. And the media made it sound like, Black people were getting beat on every street corner, right? So I remember you called me, Alvin, hey, is this true, Dr. Charlie? What's going on? So I was like, well, hey, yeah, we had that incident, and, there are officers that are not good, but they represent a fraction of the whole. On the whole, officers doing their job. It's a dangerous job. It's a hard job. They're doing it. So, Alvin, you flew in to the U.S. for a conference, and I picked you up at Kansas City International Airport. And so it's the first time Alvin been to Kansas City since we become brothers. And so I said, hey, I want to treat him to a shoe shine. There's a shoe shine guy right there, right by the gate before we went to the car. So we both got shoe shines. And I asked Alvin if he's hungry because it was pretty close to lunchtime. He said, yeah. And so the guy overheard us talking and says, well, hey, I've never been there. The guy says, but there's a restaurant, just right down the road from the airport here. People talk a lot. It's called Scott's, and people talk about it all the time. So it must be pretty good. And so, I was like, well, I haven't went there, but let's go try it out. So we drive to the restaurant. It's probably a mile from the airport, Scott's. So we walk in, and it's right before the lunch hour rush. So we literally, and it's not a big restaurant, we walk in, we're the first people in the restaurant. The only people in the restaurant. We order our food, we sit down. Well, about 5 minutes after we sit down, a couple of police officers walk in. order their lunch, and sit down. So they were police. So I was like, you know what, Alvin, I'm going to buy their lunch. Well, 2 minutes later, 3 or 4 more police officers showed up. Then we have highway patrol officers showing up. Then we have sheriff showing up. Before long, before 15 minutes of us arriving, the restaurant was full of law enforcement and us. And they were all Caucasian people. Okay. And I was like, well, I can't buy everybody's lunch, Alvin. So it's just going to be, I'm just going to get you, brother. So we had a nice lunch, had our conversation, and we get to the car. And I said, Alvin, did you at any time feel threatened? No. Did anyone bat an eye at you? No. Everyone went about their business. It's like we weren't even there. Like it's just a normal restaurant experience. And that's the reality is in the United States, if you are following the law, police officers are not going to bother you. It's only when you present yourself as a problem that they come into play because that's their job is to keep the peace. So it flew in the face of so much media that was out there about all this police brutality. We're the only two African American men in the restaurant. Zero problems. The food was good. We walked out, drove off, left. Nobody pulled us over. Nobody called us any names, threw anything. Nothing happened. But the media story at the time was 180 degrees different than the experience we had in that restaurant. With that, I'll pass the mic back to Alvin.
I
Yes.
think that's the go for it, Alvin.
Oh no, Ray, it's your turn. Go ahead.
I think that's the perfect example, Charlie, of the leadership I was talking about before. Okay, because Alvin saw something on the news. What did he do? Picked up the phone, called Charlie. Hey, is that true? Right. So when I'm talking about leadership, I'm talking about stepping forward. That's what I'm talking about when I say how you show up. This dictates the entire environment and atmosphere. After that, it opens up for communication. It opens up for different things. And same thing, Charlie can't buy lunch for the whole restaurant yet. Okay, the day will come for that. But just again, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about leadership. Again, so he saw two cops coming in. He understands the environment right now, what's being said on the news, and he's willing to step forward and do something to create a bridge. Okay, to create a bridge, to create that cognitive dissonance we talked about right before we started this call, where sometimes people think in one direction and an event happen and challenges that and shows you a different path. And that's what leadership creates. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Okay, so now what I want to do is flip a little bit and go to solutions because we could go on and on about examples of where we become separated and divided and where a mindset goes to what's wrong. So there's a ton of examples. I'm sure listeners can also go to their own sampling. So now, what do we do about it? What do we do about this? How do we do something practical? We can leave our listeners with something practical. Here's what I did myself personally. Long ago in 30 goodness, long time ago. I remember I was 20 years old, somewhere around there. And I used to read a certain trashy newspaper that Toronto put out. And this thing was just trash. It was maybe a slight level up from the Inquirer. A lot of easy read, very salacious. And that time the Gulf War was going on. And then, ironically, the modern day George Floyd was the beating in LA, Rodney King. And then, so there was tension there between police and the African American community. There was war. Sounds pretty similar. And a lot of tension. Sounds similar. Once again. So, oh yes, almost a pandemic with AIDS. AIDS was on the rise. Sounds familiar. History repeats itself over and over. So, anyways, I find at that time I'm reading this paper. There was no news at that time, I think, no CNN yet, or was there? Maybe. Anyways, I was reading the newspaper because I had time at work. And what did I do with my time back then before I was on mastery journey? Well, I would waste it reading this paper from back to front. I had that extra time, finish my work early. And the guy that delivered the milk to the company I was at every morning, he comes in and starts telling me about predictions, Nostradamus predictions of how the world's gonna come and the beast is gonna. So I'm reading this and I'm listening to him and I'm talking this stuff. And next, I'm psychotic about the world. The world's going to end, in my opinion. It's over. Done. Why bother with all of this? And I was completely overwhelmed by this. So I started to go, Alvin, whoa, check this, man. Because I'm looking at my neighbor going, are you going to be the one? Are you the beast? All kinds of stuff going on in my head. And I said, you got to check this. So from that day on, here's how I started to fix it. Get rid of the news. I don't listen to that stuff. I don't read it. I don't listen to it. I don't put it in my head. We can't help it. Some people say, "Oh, y'all be learn to separate." Nah, stop that. Stop that. You're human. You can't just read that junk and tell me that you can treat me the same after you read it. No, I'm sorry. You're human. So, that's one. Get rid of the news. At my work, right now in Canada, we have a station called CP24. And it's constant news. It's again another junkie station. I can tell you that right now. And that thing runs there. If you look at that screen when that runs, so they've got the news and it's like just so inflammatory. The news itself. So coming out. Then they have a ticker at the bottom that runs and tells you more news. If they're not telling you here, you can read it. If if the sound's off, don't worry, we got you. It's running on the there. Then there's a box over here that shows this, and the box this thing's crazy. But here's the thing. It's in every doctor's office. It's in every waiting room. It's in everywhere you go. That, what's in my waiting room? Home and garden TV. One time I had one of my clients, I came out and he switched it because he was interested in what's going on in news. I said, don't you ever do that again, or she won't be allowed in. And he never actually came back. He drops his wife off. He stays in the car. Yeah, don't, no, no, that's a rule here, and I'm very strong on it. So if you don't like it, find another establishment. But when you come here for the hour that you're here, whatever time you're here, I want you to let go of all of that. Let go of all of it, because I'm certain you saw it at home. I'm certain you heard it in the car. You don't need to come in here too and keep following it. You know what's going on. So my foot's down. Every morning, my rule is at my house, every morning, no TV goes on until 10 a.m. And by the way, 10 a.m. is when I leave. So, and everybody understands that. Everyone understands that happens. It's amazing how when you believe in something, people kind of follow. When in Rome, you do as Romans do. And I'm really concentrated. I really know that I guard the doors to my mind and the people I'm around. As I said earlier, these associates that I associate with in the past, this time, the last 6 years, 5, 6 years, have really revealed a lot of people their darkness. It's really shine a light on their darkness. So I eliminate them. I don't need if you're not adding to my life, I'm gonna it's a two-way street. I'll add to yours. I'll make sure your life is being around me, I'll make sure your life I'm not subtracting from the quality of your life. I'm gonna make sure that. But it has to be a two-way street. You have to also add to mine. Um, add to my, fulfillment of my life. If you're not, then I gotta do the equation. Are you are you division and subtraction? No, you have to be, for me, you have to be an addition or a multiplication. Or else we can't vibe. Clients, I mean anybody. I'm very adamant on that because our happiness is nothing to be negotiated. It's too heavy out there. Life itself is difficult. Life itself can be, it's not difficult. It can be challenging. You don't need help. We don't need help making it more challenging by what we're thinking, what's going in our heads. So, biggest thing I can tell our listeners is number one, take inventory of who you're around, what you're watching, what you're listening to. Yes, I need to know that someone got shot recently? Yes, I got it. Do I need to dive into 16 hours of more things around that and opinions around it? No, I don't. Life has a way of working itself out. As I said, 30 odd years ago in late 90s, whatever that time is now, late 90s, the same things that going on is going on now. Guess what? It's not changed. So, and things, and by the way, the last thing to remember here before I move it to my other guys is this. Remember, for a lot of us, life is much better for a lot of us. I can tell you for someone of a person of color, it's a lot better. It's a lot better. Health care, better. Financially, better. Are we humans? Go back in history. If you think I'm not right on this, go back in history. Long ago, thousands of years ago, we were people were enslaved. More people were enslaved. People of all kinds and colors were enslaved. They were getting killed here, there, and everywhere. It was raw and rough out there. You roll the clock forward today, and we're worrying about surnames and should I call you he or him? Back then, no one cared. They call you whatever they want to call you. I mean, so the fact that we can actually get somewhere where now we're like we actually are being mindful of, oh, is it a him or her? They didn't care what you hell you were. You just listen and So healthcare, people were dying. Infant mortality rates were high because people weren't washing their hands. So yes, we are still a messy, but are we getting better? Hell yeah. We are getting better. We just have to get through these times now because with change comes challenges. People don't want to change. The old guard don't want to let it go. But humans will triumph at some point. So we may not be here to see it, but we're getting better. Just keep your eye on that. With that, I pass the mic.
Hey, Alvin, do you mind sharing a couple thoughts? You remember our meal at that restaurant that day?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You know, that again, see here in Canada, we don't have the same landscape. So, but I have to tell you, in the US, when the energy of the police officers in the US are a little different. It is a little different. In Canada, if you look at any social media, the only thing that's true is that, yeah, if you look at any social media, we do have a bit more right to say things and we don't have a gun carrying situation going on there. So, when someone approaches the car, it's a little different. I remember you telling me, Charlie, that, when they approach, the best thing to do is have your license ready and have hands 2 and 3, 10 and 2 and ready and, window down, lights on in the car. There's a procedure that makes it a bit safer for you. We don't have to worry about that in Canada. So when we were sitting there, and they walked in, the energy is different in a police officer in the US and a sheriff, and they have a different level. Admittedly, there is a different level of um, the way they approach things, you know, more, yeah, it's more attention to it. So when they walked in, it was like, oh, interesting. And they sat down. They actually gave us a nod too, Charlie. They gave us a nod and say, hey, what's up? What's up? We were like nodding at them and the whole 9 yards. So it was a very pleasant experience. It wasn't. Yeah, I remember real quick. I remember going to Germany in the 19. We had a martial arts tournament in Germany, and I remember going to Germany looking for people with swastikas and everything. In my mind, right? I went to Germany. It's completely fine. Like I had a great time, but at the beginning, I didn't have a good time because I was busy looking for Nazis. I mean, it just shows you. It just shows you how you can believe and enter somewhere and just messes up your whole belief system and your whole experience. So
No, that's awesome. So yeah, I concur with your approach as far as really, really limiting the amount of news that we consume. I mean, we need some very basic information and no more. We
That's
don't
it.
need all the gory details. We don't need all the back and forth and he said, she we don't need it, right? So, and if it's a big enough story, you'll hear about it, okay? So you don't need to consume that. So I keep an eye on the weather, I watch traffic. That's it. Okay, that's it. And the algorithm, everybody has an algorithm attached to them, right? If you have streaming services and you have social media, there's an algorithm that's got your name on it, right? And that algorithm is feeding you what you consume. And I was really proud that, um, we had an incident here in the US last week. It did not come across my feed, didn't come across. I heard about it because it was a big enough event, but it didn't come across my feed. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. I don't want to. It's not what I do. So we do have some power there as individuals to control what come across our feed by not clicking on some of those things, not viewing some of those things, not commenting on some of those things, letting them go by and focusing on. So I do get a lot of positivity. I do get a lot of book recommendations, movie recommendations, movie trailers, book previews, little reels about how someone overcame a challenge. That comes across my feed all the time, and I love those things because it feeds my soul, and I learn from them, right? And then I connect the dots from things I've already consumed. So definitely be very mindful and careful of what you let in, because we're the gatekeepers of our minds. So be very mindful of what you're letting in. And if you do that, it's going to improve your mood, it's going to improve your day, and it's going to improve your quality of life. With that, I'll pass the mic.
Raymond, just before you jump on, I'm gonna spin a question back to Dr. Charlie. Dr. Charlie, when before you came to Canada, so Dr. Charlie visited me in Canada when I launched my book, and he came up for the seminar. What what myths did you break by coming to Canada? We didn't live in igloos? We don't eat. You didn't. Did I share any maple syrup with you or bacon? And anyways, and we don't all play hockey, by the way, and speak French. So Raymond speaks French, but he's in a French-speaking part of Canada. So, Dr. Charlie, any myths that we broke down for you?
I was really surprised at the diversity
Mhm.
that I saw in Canada. Number one, we walked around a little bit there, and I remember just hearing different languages spoken on street corners and things like that. And so that was pretty amazing. And Man, that's the first time I had Jamaican food.
Mhm.
Was when I was in Canada, and you took me to that restaurant. And you're like, well, hey, I'm gonna run in and get this, but it's gonna be a while, brother. He
Exactly,
said, I'm
exactly.
just warning you. And so I was like, I won't be, but then it's like I'm starting to look at my watch, like he wasn't joking.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
And
Ever
it's a different
since.
pace inside the restaurant,
Yeah,
but the food
yeah,
was worth every minute of it. But no, you know, I had a very pleasant experience, and I learned what loonies and toonies
all right.
um,
There you go.
are. I didn't understand,
Uh-huh.
and you know, and I had to get some
Uh,
help because I went to the
you-
hotel to get some change, and
uh,
she's like, loonies and toonies, and I was like, yeah, I need some change. She's like,
uh-huh.
loonies and toonies, and it was Delina. She
Yeah.
said, "Oh, well, she's wanting to give you, ones and twos."
All
I was
right.
like, "Oh," she said, "What do you call them in the U.S.?" I was like, "Ones and twos."
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Right. So I learned about loonies and toonies, and I had a fantastic time. So was welcomed, and you know. It's a great country, state of the art. There's no drop off in technology, anything whatsoever, coming to Canada. And so I had a great time. But but yeah, I did find out that all Canadians don't play hockey.
Yeah.
And or
And
or participate in curling.
and and did you enjoy my two-story igloo? Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, it was a wonderful time.
Yeah, there you go.
That's funny, guys, because when I lived in Mississippi, trust me, I heard all of them. I heard I
Yeah.
heard all of them. I had friends at first who were surprised that I was black and
Uh-huh.
Canadian. They couldn't
Uh,
compute.
Right. Yeah,
They couldn't
exactly.
compute that. So that's funny. Um, the last thing I'll add, and I think what you guys talked about in limiting the input is so important. The last thing I'll just add is one of the biggest powers that we give away is the illusion that we don't have a choice. We always have a choice. In any situation, and whatever we listen to, and how we respond, and how we communicate, and how whatever, man. You guys just remember there's always a choice. So don't give away that power when it comes to this. Okay. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
And I'll exhibit one more thing actually as you're talking. I remember years ago I was asking a lady about the news, and this has been a big thing for me. And she said, "Well, I don't really watch it. I just say enough to be informed. Because if you're around people and you want to be have a conversation and so on. Well, first of all, who are the people you're having a conversation with? If that's what's the topic of conversation, that's one. But here's my parting note: is this being informed? If I'm being informed about something, I would be like, interesting. That's how I'd be. Here's how you tell you're not being informed and being poked. Man, I'm taking a side. These people generalizing. All this is going. If you sense your emotions rising, you're not being informed. You're being prodded and poked. Bottom line. So if you want to know if I'm consuming the right thing, are you being pissed? Are you taking sides? Are you generalizing those people, all those people coming across the border and they're doing immigrants and see that's not informed. Informed is, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Being pissed off, you're being prodded. Bottom line. So I'll end it there. So with that, what's your one word, fellas?
It's something that, it's going to be a little different this week because it's something that we always end with anyway, but I'm going to make it my word for the week. It's peace.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Ask yourself, are you peaceful?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you a peaceful person? And peaceful people have a way of going about their life, going about their business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I choose, because as Ray said, it's a choice. I choose to be a peaceful person. With that, I'll pass the mic.
Amen.
I have to go with choice. Just like Charlie said, yeah, you choose to be a peaceful person, choose to be the difference. You
Mm-hmm.
know, choose not to just run with everybody else and this whole craziness. Choose to shift the conversation, shift the perspective. And we always have that choice.
Love it. I'm gonna leave it two words in critical thinking.
Mm,
Critical thinking. Start to practice critical thinking. If something I hear pisses me off, it's not critical thinking.
mhm.
Bottom line. So,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right. With that, everyone, if something, hopefully, our goal is that something we said helped you to break the cycle of feeling depressed, feeling pessimistic about where the world is, where we're going, because that's what it can lead to. I don't know where this world's coming to, man. It's getting worse out there. It's not. It's not. I don't think so personally. Yeah. 100 years ago, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't be
Mm,
hopeful. With technology, we're gonna be, hopefully living better quality of lives. It's just humans get in the way.
yeah.
Otherwise, we actually make the way and get in the way at the same time. So, critical thinking, start practicing that, and then the world will be better for us. And as Dr. Charlie said, are you nurturing peace? Nurturing it. Are you nurturing peace or nurturing hate? Your choice. Ooh, there's all words right in there. Anyways, with
Mm,
that, as usual, we wish you all Peace. And oh man, it's so appropriate. We send you love and with a sprinkle of soul, baby. Yeah. All right. All right. Until next week, everybody. Like, subscribe, share, and we do wish you well. All right. Peace.
Have a great week, guys.
You too.